Get started here in just a minute. Welcome to the podcast.
Yo,
We're gonna get
let
set
me,
up. Let me find this on my computer. That way I can join in and come on now. Go live. Home.
all right.
Trying to find the live right now, real quick. So, okay. Got to mute everything. Get in here. All right.
Oh,
Muted.
the good news is there's nobody in here yet. So
Yeah, but it pre-records.
yes.
So when people go back and watch, they're gonna see this section. So
So what you're telling me is no dirty
don't be
jokes.
doing nothing wrong, Josh.
No dirty jokes while we're in here, huh?
No dirty jokes. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to the Off the Wall podcast for everybody that's not in here yet. And once we start getting some people in here, I might double back to saying this. But this is Josh from Midnight Auto Repair YouTube.
Yes,
He comes
sir.
on and hangs out with me. And I'm John from WHITLEY Auto Works. And like I said, Off the Wall podcast, we usually pick a subject. This is episode 2, guys. We're talking about the cost and the prices of stuff and just the mindset that goes in, especially if you try to run your shop as a business up and coming, starting out, the little guy. I'm not talking about a full scale big shop, but just dealing with customers in general, dealing with pricing stuff in general, and just our thoughts and opinions on stuff is going to be primarily the topic for today. And then as people come in and stuff, we'll chat with you guys and hang out and answer some of your questions. But what do you think, Josh?
You know, I think this is a very good subject to hit because there's a reason a lot of us are here. You know, there's a reason that the Rust-Oleum paint job category is really just taking off.
Yeah.
And it is due to price.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you go get a quote from a body shop, or say you get into an accident or something like that. You know, you look at the cost of the paint and everything else that goes with it, not to mention the labor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why a lot of car companies, like insurance companies, are totaling cars nowadays. Especially with like Mazda 46V, that Soul Red, a lot of white tri-coats, because they're getting so expensive that if the hood, the fender, and the front bumper cover get damaged, sometimes, depending on how old the car is, they'll total it
Yeah.
because of the cost of materials.
Yeah, and it is tricky for like the smaller shops. Like a lot of you guys probably know, y'all see me do the YouTube. I'm kind of a one-trick pony as far as what I'm doing out there. It's just me doing the stuff right now. So I have a lot of inquiries from people want me to take on full big restoration projects. I'm talking people wanting to bring me stuff from across the states, and you know we're talking months long like projects. And just with me doing YouTube and everything else, I'm not set up to do that. But also, you know, I show people how to do it yourself. That's where I try to live in that realm. With my YouTube channel, you know, with the Rust-Oleum stuff, and then they see the $200 paint jobs, and you know, that's what I want you guys to be able to do and try to achieve. That's why I've really stuck with like the Intercraft DX and some of the other electric spray guns, and tried to help develop a setup for everybody to where you can do it at home and try and attempt this stuff yourself to save money, so you're not going and spending a fortune. I had a guy come to me here recently, a buddy of mine. He went and took this, he had a Jeep. It was a 2019 Jeep Cherokee. And the front end had gotten messed up on it previously. He bought it that way. But his wife had wrecked the door on it, just the back door.
Yeah.
And he took it to the shop and got it priced out. And insurance cut him a check for $2,800. That's what they had priced out, just doing that one door.
Yes.
I found him a door the same color because the color on the car was just a white. It was just a basic Jeep white.
Yeah, it was like
Nothing special.
PW7 or something like that.
It
just
matched the
basic.
fine.
Yeah.
I found him a door online for $400. We slapped that on, and he spent the rest of the money with me. Between that, I replaced the hood, I painted the hood, I did the bumper, I fixed some other front end parts that had been wrecked, and we did all that for the $2,800 that he had gotten for the insurance company. So, like, the value per money was just a whole lot different for somebody like me doing it versus, you know, the price he spent with the body shops. And it's because stuff is just so ridiculous. But the other flip side of that I'm finding is a lot of people come to me and they want their whole car painted, and then I give them a price, and it's not the same price that I'm doing it for on the channel, and that's because there's still a lot of work that goes into it. My time is extremely valuable, especially with trying to do YouTube and everything else. And then, the wife wants to have time for doing that. And, it's just, it's all a big balance of your time versus, the money and making money, because we got to make money. We got to live.
Right. Well, and the value added is being able to do it yourself. It's like, remember my Silverado when I first picked that thing up?
Yeah.
It needed an oil pan gasket, all kinds of work, transmission service, lines, hoses. And the thing is the guy I got it from got rid of it because it was too expensive to repair, like send off to a shop to repair, because it would have been more than the truck was worth.
Yeah, and the whole dash was tore apart. He didn't know what was wrong with it.
No, it was an electrical nightmare. Remember the airbag module?
But what would a shop have charged him or you to do something like that?
Anytime you get into electrical at a shop, that's kind of an open-ended checkbook. You can't just quote, hey, it's going to take me 3 hours to figure this one out.
Yeah.
You say, hey, I'm going to charge you 3 hours, and we're going to start there. And if it goes further, to let you know that this is kind of an open-ended thing to diagnose
you don't know what you're going to find. You're going down a rabbit hole with stuff. You're tracing out wires, and then what was the end up?
It was the SDM module under the seat was corroded to the point where it was shorting out.
Because it got wet and there was water there, right?
Yeah. And it actually had corroded all the way through the case of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is it comes back, I know I detoured here, but I'm more of a mechanic than I am painter normally.
No, it all kind of goes together, though, because it's all automotive.
But to send it to a shop, like say I would have sent it over to the local GM dealer, or sent it over to my buddy over at, over there on 96. And let either one of them go through and diagnose it, and then go through and put the oil pan gasket and all the stuff I did do it on it. I mean, you're probably talking at least a $3,000 or $4,000 bill at the shop.
Yeah.
For a truck that really, at the time, it might have been worth $2,500 the way it sat.
Yeah. Well, and that's the kind of the nature of the game, especially when you start to go into the business side of things to price out stuff for people. They call you, you get them to send you some pictures. This is what I usually do. Like, hey, somebody hits me up on email or WHITLEYAutoworks.com or whatever. I started getting a lot of emails through WHITLEYAutoworks.com, my merch site, saying, hey, how much would you charge to paint this? And then I say, hey, it really depends on what kind of paint you want me to use. Do you want me to use cheap Rust-Oleum? Do you want me to use this stuff right here? This is 40 years old Rust-Oleum.
Right.
Or do you want nice and full base? You want regular? You want chroma base where it's like $600 a quart?
Yeah, because I mean, this, I was so thankful when I got it because it had gotten abandoned at one of the stores.
Yeah.
So I got it for, I think, a tenth of what it would have retailed for, because this is an N code chroma base, and that's the blue. Like, this is the paint I got for the S10.
Yeah.
This quart alone, I think this was like almost a $400 quart of paint.
It's ridiculous, man. And then I have a lot of people, they want to see these crazy metallic colors on these other cars, and they're like, hey, can you paint me? Can you match this color but do it in the Rust-Oleum? I'm like, okay, well, already, one, I don't know the shape your car's in. When I get it here, I'm taking your word that it's in good shape on pictures, but if you're coming to me for paint and stuff like that, you might not know a whole lot about stuff, which is perfectly fine.
Right.
But when I get your car in and I see a little crack, and I instantly know there's rust under there. If I got to dig that out, then who knows what I'm going to find.
You're opening a can of worms at that point.
But you just wanted to scuff and shoot.
Yeah.
But if I scuff and shoot that, one, that's my reputation kind of coming out of everything. Two, if you're not happy with it, then I got to run the risk of you running me through the ringer on social media.
Right.
And now I'm on YouTube and putting myself out there. So it's all these things as a business guy, with doing either YouTube or just doing anything, whether it be automotive related, and you're fixing cars for somebody, or doing paint stuff, you kind of have to be mindful of before you jump into something, because I could just paint over that crack, sand it down, throw a little bit of glaze on it, and then it cracked through in a few months. Then he's coming back to me, you scuffed and shooting my car for $500, but now there's all this, I want this fixed. And then there's this big old thing about it, and it was cheap, easy money for me and for him.
Yeah.
But now look at then well, I'm not happy with the results, so I'm gonna jump on social media. I'm gonna tell everybody you do garbage work. I'm gonna tell you. So you have to really be careful and cautious how you approach things from a business wise to price things out and take it on and see if they're truly serious about it, if they know what the risk are versus reward. And a lot of times it's not even about the money for me. So most of the time I'm evaluating the personality of the person and what they're wanting or looking for more, because especially with these full-on restorations, I got a lot of people. And I love you guys for doing that, and I love people having enough faith and credit in me to want to bring me a car that long term could go on like Meacham and want me to do a frame off restoration and this, that, and the other. But the biggest problem with those builds are, especially when you're a small shop like me and you're not set up with multiple guys helping you out to do it, is it drags on for such a long period of time. And one of the worst possible things, it's like buying a car off the lot, is people get indecisive. People's minds change about things. You bring me a car that's I know is going to take me 6 months to do it. By the time we get to that end of that 6 months and I'm ready to paint that car and everything's perfect on it, next thing you want to change up the whole program. You want to change the colors. You want to
and now
I want to add a scoop. I want to do
And now you see, this is somewhere where I'm actually familiar with, because I worked at a shop that I did a lot of restoration at.
Yeah.
And the
you did
problem,
Jeeps, right?
Yeah. And the big thing with that is first off, you're starting with someone's baby.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. So I mean, it's easier to buy something as a shop.
Yeah.
Build it the way you want and then sell it. Because when you start taking in people's baby, they've got a picture in their mind, and your job is to live up to that. And sometimes it's very challenging.
Yeah.
And even if you're, in constant contact, you're trying to figure it out, sometimes you miss the mark.
Yeah.
And you're doing the best you can, or you end up with something that's kind of really, really hard to accomplish without changing everything you did. That's why, like, when you guys are out there doing your paint jobs, you're the value added to the situation.
Exactly.
If me or John were to do work for you, say John did your paint job or I did, mechanical work, I would end up charging you my time. And even if you go to a dealership, I always joke, you know how they always give you free cookies and coffee in the waiting room? It is not free. You are paying for that.
Oh, you're paying for it. Just the diagnostic fee at most dealerships now are $200, $250.
Not only that, it's last time I remember, it was like $140 an hour at a dealership. It very well might be more now.
Yeah. And when I first started doing the Whitley Auto Works thing about 10, 15 years ago, I was always putting my stuff out there. Like, if you just wanted a basic scuff and shoot, you didn't want automotive paint, you just wanted single stage Rust-Oleum paint job or whatever, I was charging, and I keep in mind this is back in like 2012, 2015 maybe, I was charging $400 to $600 for a scuff and shoot paint job with Rust-Oleum.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you wanted clear coat, you wanted pearls, you wanted all, it just kind of goes up from there.
Then you were a la carting it, yeah.
But, and a lot of people, they like that ballpark, that $400 to $600 range, and a lot of people contact me, and that's what they want. But, nowadays, a lot of things have changed. Prices have gone up and stuff. Even the Rust-Oleum's doubled in price.
Yeah.
But then you add the clear coat, the pearls, unless it's a color that I've already done and developed on the channel. If you want me to try and match something that's OEM or even come close, dude, even when you go to the paint store and I get a coat scanned, half the time it don't even match.
No, because every camera reading and every variant is based upon a blendable match.
Yeah.
If you are painting a fender, they expect you to bring it back into the door and over onto the hood.
Yeah.
Because the thing is your eyes are designed to, the longer you make it, the less your eyes catch the transition.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there that do not understand that every match is considered a blendable match.
Yeah.
So, and I went through that at my previous job there.
A lot of people are painters, but the blendable match thing, explain that to everybody, because a lot of people might not know what that means.
So if let's say you're painting the driver's door.
Yeah, you can't just paint the door.
You can't just paint the door because, there are different variants. And the thing is every spray gun sprays differently, and you can do what's called gun shading too. You know, if you hold it too far back or you're too close, you're too heavy, you can take the right variant and make it look wrong.
Yeah, the metallics will lay out completely different, just a different inconsistency. Any advice for a crushed glass paint job? I gotta start looking at this because I keep looking over at my laptop, guys, to see you guys stuff. We're gonna do a Q&A session at the end of this, guys. Just let us get through this real quick,
Yeah.
and then we'll answer all y'all's questions. But I appreciate Fox McLeod for the $5.
Super chat.
Super chat, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. But yeah, we will definitely answer that question at the end of this, man. But yeah, back to the shading and the blending.
So, and the thing is the way that a paint company and your paint rep and everybody who wants to see you doing it, they want to see you bring your blend out, let's say about halfway into the fender or halfway into the back door. Because you don't have that hard line where you go from fresh paint to what's there. You're blending out and your eyes don't catch that transition. And that's a clean blend.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you end up with a paint color so horrendous. I've heard a term, it's called light blend.
Yeah.
You blend from the headlight to the tail light.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of Mazda colors there like that, by the way.
Man, don't even get me into some of the tri-coats like you're talking about the 46V and stuff like that. Good luck. There's another gray one that's really hard to do that.
The what was that? 48 was it 48V or 48G?
Yeah.
One of the two.
But I
remember.
I get a lot of that, and I've had people ask me that they want me to do try to match the factory color, but can I do it in Rust-Oleum with some pearls and stuff like?
You know how long you would have to sit there and science that out to really get to that
I
point?
know in their head they're like, if I can get it done in Rust-Oleum with some pearls, I can get it a whole lot cheaper than spending that automotive paint price. But I'm like, no, you don't know what you're in for with that.
No.
Like, if I'm doing a Rust-Oleum car with pearls and stuff, it's a complete repaint. It might just be a scuff and shoe, but it's a complete repaint.
Well,
and I mean, honestly, guys, even with the small cars, because I had a lot of people inquire about prices all the time, and I don't really like talking business in the comments, putting it out there. So I'll be like, hey, email me, send me more details, send me some pictures, let's talk about it. And a lot of times I give people prices, and it is a lot more, and I'm just going to be honest, because I always tell you guys, I'm transparent with you. Most of my scuff and shoots now, even if you want, like, say you want Rust-Oleum with some clear coat and pearls, we're probably going to be starting with the scuff and shoot between $1,000 and $1,500.
Well, yeah.
That's just kind of baseline where it's at for me now with all this stuff, and then that's before I get your car, and I'll fix minor dings and stuff like that. I have no problem fixing minor dings and stuff like that. But if you bring me your car and it's an old G body or it's an old, box Chevy, and there's rust and there's crack and it's around the seals and stuff like that.
You've really got to account financially for the time you're going to invest into repairing that area to make it paintable.
It is, and I'm all about doing budget paint, and I want to save everybody as much money as possible. That's what my whole channel is designed around. But if I'm gonna take my time away from the YouTube, from other stuff, and then take on these big projects and stuff, and then stack all these cars, there's a good balance, especially when you're only one person. And that's not me to make excuses for doing business or anything like that. That's just physically, I'm still a 40-year-old guy and I hustle. I'll get out there and do as much as I can, but turnaround stuff like that. I don't like lining a bunch of cars up and having them sitting with all these promises and stuff like that either. So
there's an old saying, you can only fit so much in a 5-pound sack.
It is, man.
And if you spread yourself too thin, like obviously in your case, you're doing the YouTube thing, and if you take on a paint job, then you have to divide your time between giving you folks, wonderful ideas on colors and everything that John does, and he's great at. And then you have the time he's got to invest in jamming out a car, fixing all the little imperfections, because like I said in my video I just did on my channel the other day, if you're just going to be doing something, you don't care about it, fine, whatever, lay paint on it.
Yeah.
But if, I got to put the motor in that Falcon.
Yeah.
If you got to put work into something, put work into it, Like, in my case, I've got a junkyard motor, but I'm going to go through, it's going to get a rear main seal, it's going to get a front pump seal in the transmission, it's going to get an oil pan gasket, because it's all little things that add up to when I put it in the car and get it running, I don't have to worry about. Everything has been done right from the start.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't use top shelf parts, they're still better than the 50-year-old rear rope seal that's probably on it, the old cork gasket for the oil pan. You know, it's, if you got to go through the process, don't put half your keister into it.
Yeah.
Do it right, even if you're doing it with Rust-Oleum. You know, just
It's still
dedicate the proper time to the job.
It's still something, there's still something to be said for. I mean, I know you want a cheap paint job, you want to get by and stuff like that. It's something to be said for doing things right and taking your time with it, fixing any kind of weird issues. Because the thing is, too, especially when you have somebody else to do it, and I mean, their reputation's involved, the quality of the work is there, and you want to do the best you can for them. You want to make them happy, and if they try to skimp out on some of the money and they want to try to save and cut corners and stuff, it's going to bite them in the butt long term, and then they go spend $1,500 on a paint job, and then they don't get it. I don't care if you prime it, that crack right there, I don't care about it, just scuff over it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, dude, if you just spend an extra couple $100 to get this fixed, and then you won't have to worry about it. And like, nah, man, I just really ain't got the money. Just let it go. It ain't going to bother me. Trust me.
Well,
it's going to bother you.
Yeah.
It will bother you. And then you'll be back on there again saying, hey, man, you didn't do right by me. You didn't do this one. I said, dude, we discussed it beforehand. And that's something you run into, doing a shop and running a business yourself. Those are things I have to look at being a small business. Now, you got a lot of these other guys on YouTube's that have the benefit of being a little bit into the production paint world, and they're all the time showing the cars and stuff they're doing, but they're doing jobs for a company. I guess they're getting permission for the company to record, while they're doing this.
Or the customer has to be in too, because you are showing the customer's personal vehicle.
Exactly. So I guess there's probably more to that too for them. They probably have to jump through a few more hoops with their stuff. But
not only that, it is respectful to the customer too. If you put the car on camera.
You definitely want to do that. Like, I would never put somebody's stuff on camera if they didn't want me to, unless you're just like Cisco, dude, as good as gold. He is like he wants to see it. Like, he wants me to put it out there, and So
but the other half of that though is it's completely transparent.
Yeah.
There's nothing hidden in it when you can literally watch the process from the start to the finish.
Exactly.
But like coming back to some of the pricing we were talking about, why big body shops charge so much is because this is the time and effort that a body shop is going to put in. The guy who taught me paint originally at the shop or store in Pennsylvania, he worked for Mako for like 30 years. I mean, he was a dedicated dude. But he was the kind of guy that would tell me, hey, sometimes we had to put the extra work in to make the end result look good.
Yeah.
And the other half of it was sometimes the people who paid the least for the paint jobs were the ones who were nitpicking it to death. And then you had the people who paid for like the top package. They walk out to the car, open the door. They say, looks great. Thanks. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. It's all an expectation. And some people can start with, oh, just scuff and shoot it. It'll be fine. And then they scuff and shoot, and you're like, I know I said it was fine, but
you're done. By then, you're in it.
Right. By then, you're in it. So,
so you can't really complain at that point. And that's why I always try to stress to people, hey, I understand time is money. I understand you don't have a lot of money. You don't want to spend a lot of money. But look, there's certain things like I suggest you do. If you don't do it, then you're not going to be happy with it later. It's going to come back on you. It's going to come back on me. And I mean, I hate to tell you this, but you got two things you can do. You can jump on WHITLEYAutoworks on YouTube and watch some of my stuff or some of the other fine YouTubers' stuff and learn how to do it yourself, and then you can be as meticulous as you want. Or you're going to have to spend a little bit extra money that you probably didn't think you were going to have to spend, and get it done right.
Well, you remember what was that? Those home refinishing shows on that were like, what, 10, 15 years ago?
Extreme Home Makeover.
Yeah, Extreme Home Makeover. But you went on HGTV and there were like 5 or 6 of those shows.
Yeah, somebody said, what's up, guys? So, didn't mean to cut you off, man.
That's all right. But it was the same principle back then. You would watch a show. They would make it seem like, oh, God, for $30,000, you can overhaul this house and make $100,000.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people learn a very hard, expensive lesson.
Oh yeah, after the
That it's
cameras
not
cut
like
off.
that. Well, it's just like that with like automotive restoration or body work. You know, you watch Richard Rawlings and them on
Fast and Loud.
Fast and Loud,
Yeah.
and you would think that a car was getting done every 30 to 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you remember Phantom Works? I think it's still on, but
Oh yeah, I remember.
at least they would genuinely show you how many days that car was in the shop. And I really appreciated that because from a guy who did that, people don't genuinely understand how long a real restoration takes. That's why you spend, like, if you take a car to a restoration shop, you're spending good money on the bodywork, you're spending good money on the paint because everything has been built up to that point.
Exactly. And I respect the mess out of the high-end shops, don't get me wrong. And
Yeah,
I don't
me too.
consider myself a super high-end shop by any means. You know, I'm just a guy doing YouTube out of my shop, you know, showing everybody else how to save money and do it. And yes, I've been down the other road. I've done the higher-end paint jobs and stuff like that too. But, you know, now as I'm getting further along with things and, you know, doing the YouTube and everything else, I've got kind of to where I don't want to take on the super huge projects like that anymore.
Because they're really just time intensive.
Yeah, and you know, because if not, then I'm going back down that road where I'm bringing in like a crew of people to help me out to do it because I don't want something taking me a year to do to get it, you know, 100% perfect and everything like that. And you know, it's just not the way I want to take things moving forward personally. You know, and
Right.
nothing against anybody that wants to do that. You know, but you know, it's just. I don't know, man. I try to be, like I said, price wise with stuff. I try to be reasonable with people, and you know, I'll do the best I can. But you know, with certain jobs, it's just like I look at it and I see what it's in for, and I kind of try to gauge the personality of the person I'm talking to. And it's one of those things where I'm kind of almost. Sometimes you do have those times where you almost want to price it out of doing it, you know,
Well,
just because it's just you see the problem before it's even, you know, hit the horizon. Like you see their personality, to see the way they're approaching it, and you see the car and the shape it's in. I'm like, this person
Right.
isn't gonna be happy. Almost like save them from themselves with certain projects.
well, it's like my S10. That's a perfect example of if I brought it to you, that is a 50-footer.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when you open the doors, there are no rockers on it. Somebody just pop riveted steel on there. And yes, I do bodywork and paint on the side from time to time. Is it my jam? You know, it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, by the time you get home and you get done, it's the last thing you want to do. So if I were to bring it to John and he were to look at it and say, well, you know, it doesn't look bad initially. $1,500, I'll paint it for you.
Yeah.
And then the moment he starts knocking off whatever's left of the primer, and next thing you know, I know half that rear bed has got Bondo in it.
Yeah,
There's
and I'm
no
looking at the
rockers
lower
and cab corners.
I'm looking at the
and
lower rockers. I open the door and I go, Josh,
there's ground there.
there's ground there, man. You need new rockers welded in. Oh, man, just don't worry about it. Just can you just rivet some pieces of metal on there and
Right.
Bondo over it and let's fiberglass it and let's call it a day. And I'm kind of like, I can, but I really don't want to do that.
No.
But it'll save me money, man. Man, why don't you spend the money and get like the actual, you know, good quality patch panels? Let's cut it out. Let's weld it in. Let's do it right. So it'll cost you a little bit more. Man, I really just ain't got the money.
But that comes back to the whole, if you're gonna put in the work, put in the work.
Yeah, yeah, and know what you're getting yourself
Right.
into to a certain extent. You know, that's why I try to show a little bit of everything. You know, I am painting fenders a lot of times, but like I've even shown my SRT4 where I went through that whole spiel, cutting out all the rust and everything like
Yeah.
that, and tacking in stuff like that. And you know, I can do a lot of stuff like that, but I hate it, and most people in the body shop world, unless you're a frame shop or like you know, Josh actually works at a frame shop right now.
Yeah,
I think
so-
did I already mention that in this video?
I don't know. I think we would know because we had talked about it before we
Yeah,
cut the camera
yeah,
on.
yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm kind of experienced from The beginning?
Yeah, we were talking about like because you were doing paint for Napa. You know, you were going and fixing problems with
The
production
tech
stuff.
guy,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, you're the tech guy. Now you're at the other end. You're at the beginning end of it where you're working pulling frames and stuff like that. And
I'm on.
people bring you a car and they're like, "Man, it ain't that bad." I don't think. You know, I think you can just pull it out real quick. What do you find?
Well, 9 times out of 10, once you get the fenders off it, you figure out the whole front end's over 3 inches. And then, I mean, the machines we use, we're talking 5, 6, 7 tons of force
Yeah,
to pull a frame and the front end and everything back in alignment.
yeah,
Normally they don't look bad. Like, I had a caravan come in the other day, and it was a wheelchair van, and I drove it in, and I'm like, all right, well, this is a good start. It runs, drives, it moves. Normally, that's a positive thing because, you always got to look at the glass as being half full. Whether it's whiskey or we is up to you.
yeah.
But, okay, so, it drives in here. This ain't going to be terrible. Oh, man, was that thing just bent to...
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it's one of those things where you never know what you're getting into. Because every time I say, oh, it's just this, or oh, it's just that, it always, 100% of the time proves me wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
In every different way you could possibly conceive.
And that's the way, I know we've done a lot of bantering back and forth over this subject and jumped around in a bunch, but I say all that to say, and I kind of brought that up just to be, you have to be, if you're doing this for a living, you're doing this, for a business with a reputation and everything else, and people come to you and they want cheap jobs because they saw you do it on YouTube, $200 color shift paint job. Hey, sign me up. There's a lot more that goes into it from the business side. If you want somebody like me to do it, than me showing you how to do it, doing it at home. And, so just don't be shocked when you come to me and you want me to do it and I'm not charging $200.
Well, when
I got to charge for my time. I got to cover my butt on the back end as far as when you bring me your car and I start working on it. If I find other stuff, I've already got your car there. I've already started sanding on it. I'm in it, at that point. So if you don't want to fix something or whatever else, it's like what I do. There's this big gouge here. There's this rust right here.
Yeah.
You want me to slap some filler on it real quick and let it go. And then 6 months after your paint job, it's going to look like I don't know what I'm doing, So it's just so much when you get into the business end of things. So when you call me for prices and stuff like that, guys, definitely be mindful of that, it might be a little bit higher than $200 for that color shift paint job. But, I want to kind of open it up to comments because I keep seeing a lot here and I want to get too far behind. So if you're cool with that, Josh, you want to jump into some of these or let's get into finishing remarks real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, because we're about to get into the part where I enjoy it the most is interacting with you guys because this is a ton of fun.
So that's my kind of final thoughts, guys.
Yeah.
Whenever you hit me up, I appreciate everybody hitting me up for paint jobs and stuff. But just be mindful that if I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna charge a little bit for my time. Labor's obviously gonna be a factor, and for my experience. And I'm gonna want to do my due diligence to look over the car good first before I really give you a set in stone price. And then, so I don't want you to be overly disappointed when you bring me your car and I say, hey, I point out all these things and like, do you want to fix it? If you don't want to fix it, it's going to be what it is. And, so just kind of be mindful of that when you approach me wanting a price for a paint job. That I'm going to try to do my best work possible, if I take on your project. So the price and stuff might reflect that. So go ahead, Josh.
And then the other thing, from the professional side of this, there's a reason that like overalls now are getting into that $8,000 to $10,000 range, because, well, first off, a lot of process body shops don't want to do that kind of work, so they're going to give you the I don't want to do that job price.
Yeah.
Second, it is because materials and everything that they're about to go through it is time intensive and financially expensive.
It is.
Especially if you're using like Chroma Base or some, like Chromax XL now, the new version of stuff like that. It's expensive.
It is.
That is why we're all here with the Rust-Oleum, is because we're looking for a medium that is still approachable, something you can work with, and gives you a good end result that you're happy with. Yeah. And that's what I think he's done a really good job of, is taking something that wasn't really designed for this purpose, but making it to a point where not only is it functional for it, it looks good.
Yeah.
especially with a lot of the color shifts, the pearls, and all the stuff you've done, especially the stuff you've been doing lately.
Yeah.
Really goes to show that you don't have to spend 5 to 10 grand on a paint job, but you do have to kind of be the one to take the first steps
Yeah, and I mean, you
to
don't even
to
have
do
to
something.
spend,
Right.
material wise. You don't have to spend $1,000 on materials.
No.
You can do it with Rust-Oleum. You can do it for a couple $100 in materials, and you can go pick up something like the Drizzle X or even some of the other electric spray guns out there. It really just depends on what your flavor is with that, and you can try to knock some of this stuff out yourself at home if you just want a cheap all-around paint job. But if you don't just want a cheap scuff and shoot, throw something on it and be done with it, and whatever it looks like in a couple years, it looks like, then, be prepared. You're going to spend some real money this day and time on full-on restoration work like that. It's only getting more expensive as the days go on. I mean, you even got people charging $3,000 to $5,000 for a wrap job and
Yes.
stuff. So I mean, there's just so many crazy things out there now, and the prices of things are just going through the roof. But if you want to message me, if you have any questions at all about me possibly painting your car or just tips, I'm all the time trying to help people. I've even had a lot of people that have started their own business to a certain extent, asking me how to try this, that, and the other, and just doing it themselves to get comfortable with it. It looks so much more intimidating than it really is. A lot of it's just take your time, prep things, really good, and just don't rush it. I mean,
No.
that's the biggest thing with it. I tell that, and do test spray outs.
Right.
That's why I'm
Spray
painting
outs.
fender after fender after fender. Get used to it. Get used to the equipment. Get used to the way the paint lays out. And we're going to do a lot more videos coming really, really soon because I've had so many people ask me about different primers, the different thicknesses of Rust-Oleum and some of the paints. Trying it and showing it on the channel how things lay out depending on how thick or how thin they are. So we're going to get more into the technical end of stuff too. But I'm going to go ahead. Let's kind of open it up. Let's jump into some of these comments.
Yep.
I've heard some people say that they really appreciate me. No, not really appreciate me. They think that I sound a lot better. And then I have one guy that just said he thinks I gave him the cold through the computer. So, all right.
Well, the last 2 weeks have been rough.
Dude,
I ended up with your sinus infection.
man, don't even get me started. Okay, the super chat guy. Any advice for a crushed glass paint job? Now, crushed glass is much like pretty much a heavy metal flake. You can put it in there. It's really sparkly and stuff like that. You're gonna have to build your clear up a lot though, and you might even have to either cut and buff it or go back. Level it out with 800 and flow coat it if you're going to use the crushed glass stuff because it's pretty much, it works a lot like a heavy metal flake.
So they actually make a spray gun specifically for like bass boat flake is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
That real big heavy flake. It's got like a 2.0 tip to it.
You talking about the ceiling gun I get at Harbor Freight?
No, but close. It has like a 2.0 tip on it to account for the metallic, but it also has an agitator built into the cup.
Right.
To keep that, because, obviously, like the crushed glass, or in the case of like the heavy flake, it's heavy flake. It's trying to find its way to the bottom of the cup. And you'll start getting clumpy looking.
That's something you got to be really mindful of when you're spraying flakes in general, but even more so on the heavier flakes. With the pearls, you don't necessarily have that problem as much. But yeah. John, what's the name of the new green gun you just got? This is the Porpoise, the unofficial sponsor of today's podcast. We'll always have one. Last time it was the Intercraft DX. This is the Porpoise PRD 725 HTE, high transfer efficiency paint gun. If you've seen the Black Widow, the high-end Black Widow is an HTE. The high transfer efficiency just means it manages the fluid very, very well with the amount of air pressure it has, so that you don't have to run it at a high a PSI as some of the other HVLP model guns. I ran it the other day at 25 PSI. I've heard of people getting great results at 23 or even less with an HVLP gun, which says a lot because most of the time you need more air pressure, which taxes your compressor more, runs it harder. You don't need to do that with this gun right here. It manages everything very well. So that's a great selling point of that. And you can check it out on Porpoise's website, and you can get a discount with me. Use code WHITLEY. So
So somebody asked here, let's see here. How are you liking or disliking the Drizzle X?
I love the Drizzle X. I think
That
it's a great electric HVLP gun. Um,
It's going to be Banjo Learner 94, by the way, asking
okay.
this question.
Yeah, the Drizzle X is a great gun, man. It's designed for automotive paint application. The gravity fed with the cup liners makes it to where you can interchange stuff quickly. It's got a metal tip system compared to every other electric gun on the market. None of them, unless you get up to the higher end, like Fuji turbine units, they're not made of metal. They don't have those type of internal parts to where they won't wear out as quickly. They can uh, deal with the solvents, especially the more aggressive ones like acetone, very well compared to the plastic tip model guns like the Phalanx, the High Chica, even the Wagner I tested before. Say what you will, a lot of these guns, some of them have gone more viral online than others. I've tested all of them. I get a lot of people jump on real quick and go, the High Chica is the best. There's no discussion. And that's because it went viral. They've made some updates to it. It's a great product too. But I always get the question, which is better, the High Chica or the Drizzle X? And I know the other YouTubers' opinions and stuff like that. But me personally, long term, seeing how something's going to hold up, if it's got a metal tip system, you're dealing with solvents, you're dealing with anything that's possibly corrosive in any way, shape, or form. Which is better, metal or plastic? Now, does it still have some kinks to work out? All of them do. If you're dealing with a siphon fed gun, well, if you turn it straight up, like that and you're trying to paint panels straight like that, well, you really got to be mindful of that material. You don't have that problem with a gravity fed gun. Now, there's a lot of people have said, well, it doesn't have a super, wide spray pattern, or the fluid output on it isn't, what it should be. I can see some of that type stuff. But then again, you got the other end of it with some of these siphon guns, even the Chica. Unless you got a smaller tip on it, like a 1.3 or a 1.2, I think the default is a 1.5. And when painting the whole car, if you're not used to the way all this stuff sprays, it will just dump the fluid right out the gate. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer picking one of these up for the first time and you're spraying with a 1.5 and you got that fluid nozzle most of the way open, instant run. It's like
Yeah.
spraying with a Rust-Oleum turbo can. So, yeah, I like the High Chica. Has since done a 1.2 tip. I'm still waiting for my rep to get back up with me. He was supposed to send me out some of the new 1.2 tip guns. Haven't heard anything back. I don't know what's up with that. But hopefully I'll be able to test one out for everybody soon on the channel. I know they've since coming out with a corded version, or cordless version, sorry.
Yeah.
Battery powered one. I'm sure that's probably a great one too. It's just, a battery is pretty much like running a compressor though. If that battery starts to dip, run out of juice, and you're trying to go around paint a whole car, it's all right. If even in the production world that some of these other YouTubers live in, it's great when they're shooting panels and stuff like that. But if you're trying to get around a whole car, multiple coats, and all you got is batteries, and then batteries die, what are you doing?
Right, like
You know,
you have to be absolutely prepared to have a backup battery on the charger and tag it out when it's still 2 bars.
Yeah, but what if you don't have a backup
That
battery?
and
Or
that's
even with
that's
two,
the thing you run into
yeah,
is
and with the High Chica battery powered version, the YouTubers I've seen tested them, they've tested them in the production world. They've shot some panels. They haven't shot a whole car, gone around multiple times, and seen one. We don't know how long these batteries are going to last for a
right.
full scale paint job. And there's just other things like that that you have to kind of be mindful of and think about when you go into some of these products and see the way they're being pushed and promoted. So I try to be realistic with all of it. Do I think the Drizzle X is the end all be all of electric spray guns? No, I think it has its quirks. I think every electric spray gun has its quirks. The Wagner, the biggest quirk with the Wagner is it doesn't have an extremely large fan pattern, and the cup on it, the way it's designed, you can't put an aftermarket cup on it. It's made specifically for that gun with the gravity fed attachment, and it's a small cup. It can't hold. I don't even think it's a 600 milliliter cup. I think it's actually a
But
little bit less.
to be fair and honest to that, the quirk about that was it was never designed to do automotive paint.
No, it was designed to do cabinet work. So, there's the Wagner for that. Can you get by with doing a whole car with all of it? Yeah, sure. A lot of people are worried about the turbine units or the compressors of the little motors overheating. I've seen so many people use these for full scale paint jobs. I've never I've heard a lot of people say the motors get hot, but I've never heard of one causing any issues or quitting or, with any of the stuff trying to go full scale with it. I know a lot of the manufacturers have started putting disclaimers on it, to tell you that these motors will heat up. They're made for, panel repairs. They're not made for full scale stuff. But I've seen enough people use them now full scale for paint jobs that I've got no doubt that you can use them for that. So. And I'll be doing one here soon with the Drizzle X. I'm gonna do a full car with it. I'm just like I said, way behind with stuff on episodes. I'm on same day on episodes for YouTube, and I've got a couple other projects in the back burner. So I've had a lot of people ask me about can I do paint jobs for them here recently. And I'm like, guys, I'm behind right now. I just don't have the time to take on any extra cars. So. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and opinions with the electric spray guns. As far as this gun goes, though, the Porpoise guns are really good quality guns. Much like all the other guns you see me reviewed here lately, the D1 Drizzle, some of those type guns. Great guns for the entry-level price, around $100. This right here, I want to say it's probably around $300. But when you get to this level, guys, the craftsmanship, if you look at the gun and the quality of it, and the way it sprays right out the gate compared to some of the other guns, the fan patterns are a little bit wider and they're much more consistently throughout, even with the fan pattern turned wide open, or even when you start to isolate it down. You really have to dial in the D1 Drizzle and some of those other guns to get a really good distinct pattern, to where some of the higher end guns, they come really close right out the gate.
Well,
and
like a lot of these are patterned off of very modern spray guns, whereas a lot of the stuff I would say maybe 5-6 years ago was patterned off the old LPH 400s. And they really handled well like an LPH 400 for half the price. But you usually expected that they would wear out sooner. The parts weren't as good fitting as, a name brand gun. But now stuff like this Porpoise, the fit and finish on these things actually is extremely good. For the price range. But I mean, you are still spending good money for this. You're not spending.
No, it's not.
You're not spending DV1 money for it.
No, well, let's look at this. Let's break this down real quick. You got the D1 Drizzles and stuff like that. If you get the entry level D1 Drizzle, that's probably the best gun on the market. I would say the Pinto GT LVLP Tilswall gun I reviewed. That and the Drizzle are about neck and neck. They're both 1.3 tip guns. You can get them for about $80 if you get the entry level kit. If you get the one with all the bells and whistles, the multiple tips, 1.3, 1.5, and 1.7, that gun's about $120. Then from there, you kind of step up into the realm of and this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but then you got the 140 price tag of the Drizzle X. That gun with the cup liners and everything like that. Electric gun wise, it's really, really great. It's comparable to the quality you get with the D1 Drizzle, maybe a little bit less. But then again, like I said, it's an electric gun, and the D1 Drizzle obviously relies on a compressor. Then you step up to something like the Black Widow. You go to Harbor Freight, I think it's $180. The HTE version. Now, there's multiple Black Widow guns at Harbor Freight. There's even an airbrush Black Widow gun. So when I say Black Widow gun, I mean the HTE model. I mean the highest one that they have. I think it's $179. I think that gun is very comparable to something like this, but this gun takes it a little bit further. This gun's got a wider fan pattern overall than the Black Widow. The consistency's a little bit better, in my opinion, and the machining quality of this gun with the quick release trigger and just some of the things that they've done with the valving system on this gun is really good, to where you break it down. It's not as cheap, in my opinion, as the Black Widow gun as far as quality goes. So, and like you said, let's also be honest with a lot of these guns. They're, I won't say knockoffs, but
they are patterned
very
off of
similar made products to some of the other higher end models, and that's what this gun is. It's closer to like the Iawatas and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Maybe even some of the DeVilbiss guns.
Well, like I said,
They take cues from some of these other manufacturers, and this right here starts out as a CNC piece of forged aluminum, and then they mill it down in the machines and they put all the valving and stuff in it. That's the way this is made. So they've basically taken some of the design cues and aspects, revamped it, made their own quality product, put their valving in it, put their stuff on it, and then bam, you got a spray gun that performs just as well for a third of the price as one of the $1,400 Iwatas. So
like, what is the price range on this Porpoise?
$300.
You know what? I would kind of file that one in the semi-pro category. You're not going in for an $800, $900 DV1. $300. This is something that you could actually do production work with.
Yeah.
As an entry level gun. But if you're a home guy, this is a high quality gun to use.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is one of those forever guns, and one you can use for everything, and not have to second chance or second guess or bat an eye at with it. I mean, this gun spray is great. If you saw my video right out the gate, some people were complaining, even some of the perfectionists I have in my comments. One guy was talking about how he saw a little bit of orange peel in it, and I had to kind of re-stress to him that, dude, this was sprayed over 2X Rust-Oleum paint, and I only took it up to a 320 grit maroon Scotch-Brite pad.
Yeah.
If I had high builded that fender and blocked it out and did everything else up to 600 and wet sanded it, and dude, this thing would have laid it out perfectly. You can look at the paper and tell the pattern quality on it, because it was like a 2-inch consistent 28 wide pattern on it.
Right.
I mean, it was just great right out the gate. So I mean, it's probably the finest gun at the price range I've sprayed with, right out the box. Another one was the Pinto WAW Pinto GT Plus. The DeVilbiss gun, which I got off of Temu, it was kind of a knockoff, and even the higher end Porpoise, like I think it's I'm not too familiar with their numbers. I want it's the 717, or it's my blue gun. I can't remember what the exact number was, but that gun's like a $400 or $500 gun. This is in that price range, or
Yeah.
it's in that it's
in that quality range.
Quality range, but for $200 cheaper. So you kind of have that kind of tip off where stuff starts getting more expensive. This is in that range of the cheapest possible gun you can get for the best spray out and lay out at home. This is stuff you would see in production world, where some of these production painters, they don't have the time frame of having a cheaper gun and try to dial it in and do
right.
Like, you're not going to catch some of these other guys that are shooting with the high chicas and stuff, using it for production work.
Like I said, this is kind of playing in the semi-pros.
Yeah. They got to have a good quality gun that's consistently spraying good on everything, whether it's base, clear, primer. They got to be ready to go, because they're doing production work. They got to get it done, get it out, and go. So there's that step up, and this is probably the lower end of the production world quality guns. This is what you're looking for. So if you're going to step it up and start doing a lot of stuff, you're going to go into business or whatever, this is the type of gun you need to be spraying with. The D1s and the Pintos LVLPs and some of the other cheap LVLPs, even the Bentokle guns and stuff like that, they're great if you're doing it at home. But once you step into that production level world and you need something that's consistent with everything all the time, and you want to step up to a better quality gun.
All right, well, let's see here. We got Elizabeth. I sprayed clear coat on my faded out hood. It lasted about 3 months. Should I prep the hood first? Yes.
Oh, do you prep the hood?
Yeah, because what happens is the clear is only as good as the surface you're spraying it on, and especially if clear has come off of it already, what essentially what you're spraying on is sand.
Yeah, and be mindful of that too, because you get into the clear coat fade and then it chips and cracks, and you could be sanding on base coat. If you're sanding down to the base coat, then it's game over.
Yep.
You can clear it, and on one good way to check, run water over top of it, see if it slicks back out and you don't see any inconsistencies. If you start seeing any light spots in it, then you sand it into that base coat, and you're
kind of at the point of restarting and spraying it.
And even at this point, if you didn't scuff it and sand it, Elizabeth, before you did the clear and you just cleared over it, one, I'm shocked it didn't delaminate. or do something funky. But yeah, you definitely want to go back and get that off. And you're still now because cleared over top of something and you didn't sand it properly, you're always going to run the risk of it doing something funky moving forward. So, unfortunately, I think the best thing to do at this point would be drop back, punt, sand it down, and repaint that panel. Was probably going to be.
Brian South, what's your favorite brand as far as durability?
We
I
talking paint? We talking paint guns? You have to be a little more specific, man.
Right, and if
I,
we're talking paint, are you talking Rust-Oleum quality stuff, or are we talking moving up more into
yeah.
like automotive quality
Also
stuff?
had another comment. I saw it. I know it's kind of scrolled up now. Real quick, I don't remember who said it. With the Rust-Oleum, do you have to use the spray cans or can you use it like the industrial mixed in? A lot of my paint jobs, I'm using the cans you get at Lowe's that you actually add either acetone or mineral spirits in. So you can do it with the spray cans if you want to, but you can also do it through a paint gun mixed. You know, the big gallons and stuff you get at Lowe's. So check out some of my other videos if you get a chance. You'll see me do it that way. Fox McCloud, $5 super chat. What some of the biggest differences between a high-end sprayer versus a cheap sprayer as far as quality goes? I'll let you start.
Internal parts. You know, like you were going over the difference between like the High Chica and the D1 Drizzle,
Yeah.
metal versus plastic.
Yeah, I mean that's where it's at, and I mean even some of the parts on the Drizzle X, because like I said, I'm not a Drizzle X fanboy. I'm not a Drizzle X like gatekeeper with it all. I'll let everybody know. Like I said, full disclaimer, I'm actually signed on with Intercraft, so I'm a tester of their products. I'm even testing some stuff behind the scenes that I can't talk about yet because of an NDA. I kind of touched on that a little bit last video, but like I said, I can't say so much. So I got my eggs in with Intercraft a little bit, but you see me, I'm still with Porpoise right here, and if their product's better than Intercraft, I'm gonna let you know. If Intercraft doesn't like that, oh well. High Chica, if I don't think High Chica stuff is as good as, or if I think the High Chica gun is better than the Drizzle X, I'm gonna let you know. I'm signed on with Intercraft. Oh well, if they get mad, you know,
You
I'm
you
gonna be honest with you guys always, is what I'm saying. I'm, you know, the metal tip system's great. The High Chica, the siphon feed gun, think about this from a practicality standpoint. I know everybody wants to push that gun. It went viral. I get it. But it's got a siphon cup on the bottom of it. It's a plastic siphon cup with a tube. When you switch over from base or from primer to base or base to clear, you got to pull that hopper off. You got to clean it out real good. You got to pull the tube system off. You got to change all that stuff out. There's a little rubber gasket that seals it. If you've seen my reviews, you got to clean all this stuff good and switch it over to the next system. The Intercraft Drizzle X, it has a hopper system, a sleeve system. All you do is pull that sleeve, flush the gun out on the top real quick, switch over to your other stuff, which, by the way, you can already have it ready to go because you have different cup sleeve systems that you can have sitting to the side. You can pour your hardener in it, stir it real quick, put it in the thing, pop it in and go. You don't have sleeve systems with a siphon feed gun. So these are things you think about if you're doing stuff full scale, like painting a whole car. It's great if you're in the production world and you're painting a fender and a hood and you're showing, hey, great, look how great the High Chica is. It's this, it's that, other. And then he's changing out products, or people are changing out products off camera and then coming back to it. Well, if you're doing a whole car, multiple coat after coat after coat, having that sleeve system to be able to change it out and have less stuff to have to clean between jumping to different things, well, that's a great thing. Now, you can complain about some of the other stuff, like the fluid output might not be up to some of the other stuff standards. But then you can also complain that some of these other guns, depending on the tip size, they spit out too much fluid, and that causes issues. So, but I do want to see the fluid upped on the DX. I do want to see the fan pattern upped on the DX. Those are my two biggest gripes with that. Other than that, I don't really have any problems with the DX. And I do still, at this point right now, I think with the direction they're going, I like that product better than I like some of the other electric spray guns as far as an all-in-one paint job use for being able to do a whole car. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you know, the other thing is metal parts are designed to last. You know, because plastic stuff, doesn't matter what it is, eventually the solvent will deform it, degrade it.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that you look into.
Yeah, and like I said, I want to stress this too because I think a lot of people, maybe even some other YouTubers, have taken my opinion the wrong way on some of these other products. If I say I think one is better than the other, that is definitely not me in any way, shape, or form saying I think I'm a better painter than somebody else, or I'm thinking they ain't doing a good job, or that has nothing to do with it. I'm just trying to be honest on these products because I feel like that's my responsibility as a content creator and as a painter in general that's pushing out stuff to the do-it-yourselfers at home that they're not going to want to do panels. They want to paint a whole car with this stuff. You know?
Yeah.
That's the end goal. I want an electric spray gun that's all in one that I can buy at my house because I don't have a shop. Maybe I got lucky enough and grandmama got me a tent for Christmas, you know, that I can set some lights up in and I can paint in so I don't have dust and debris and the rain blowing in on me if I decide to paint my whole car in my project or whatever. But I want something I can hook up all in one. I can paint a whole car with it. I can get good quality results, and it's not going to give me a bunch of problems. I'm already going to have a bunch of problems as well because I'm painting outside. You know, I'm painting on the ground. I got my stuff sitting on the ground. I don't know if dust is going to fly up or anything like that. You know, I'm painting in my raggedy tent or under a shade tree or nothing at all. You know, out in the driveway of my apartment, hoping I don't get caught.
Yep.
You know, doing something, you know, because I've seen a lot of that too. I'm painting in the Walmart parking lot, and I got a generator in the back of my truck. I want to crank that bad boy up. I want to hook my Intercraft Drizzle X up to it, and I want to spray it in the Walmart parking lot. That way I don't get overspray on my concrete, and I want to be able to drive it away before
Keeping
the
up
cops come.
keeping up with the fine tradition of getting banned from establishments. That's a car guy thing.
I want to, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean that's the whole end goal, and I don't think version 1 of the Drizzle X is the end all be all. I really was pushing for that kickstand on that gun, or
Yeah.
some kind of a gun holder with it. I hope in version 2 they incorporate something or pull out some witchcraft or something, I guess, with it. But right now, as far as when you're switching the cup systems out, I just flip the gun upside down and sit it on the motor side, and then pull the hopper off. And then I just kind of wipe it and flush it real quick, kind of get a rag in there, and I clean it out, flush it through real quick with some acetone or mineral spirits or just paint, generic paint thinner or something, you know, just to flush it real quick, squeeze the trigger, shoot it through, or plug it in, and then change the hopper out to something else, and you're good to go for something, you know, for that. But yeah, them siphon cup guns, and I know my heart goes out to you old school guys that sprayed with all that stuff back in the day with the Binks and, you know, all that. But man, changing the siphon cups and flushing all the stuff out, yeah, it's just a pain. And
Well, I
then
mean,
if you hold the gun at a certain angle with a siphon gun and you're low in material by chance, because you were painting.
yeah.
You were just, it happens. Like especially when you're new to it, you're not going to think about, do I still have enough fluid, you know, or if I still have enough paint in my cup. And then you go around with that siphon feed gun and, oh, I need to run another pass over the, you know, over the top like this, you know, over the A-pillar. And then you go up like that with it.
And the gun goes,
Start
yeah.
spitting, you know, because you got a siphon feed
And
gun.
then you're saying a lot of things you can't say in church after
That's
that happens.
the type of stuff I think about, you know, because I know somebody's going to do it. You know, somebody that's not mindful of all the, like, painting. Like, you just picked it up for the first time. They're not going to think about that.
Right.
And then they got stuff spitting, and if it's a metallic color or if it's a pearl or something like that, man, you've got a mess on your hands with the siphon guns.
Jack Longberry, he gave us $4.99 in a super chat, and he said, "Thanks for all you guys are doing."
Hey, man, Jack, appreciate the super
We
chat,
appreciate it, man.
We're just two average guys hanging out. You know, I do quite a bit of painting. Josh does more of the automotive type stuff. I don't know if you're subscribed, but go check him out. Check me out. Some of my other videos and stuff. But man, I'm just trying to be helpful. That's all I am. I got no bias with any other YouTubers. AC Designs, he's a good buddy of mine. Me and him have been going back and forth here lately over the Intercraft Drizzle X. He tried to put decanted spray paint into his on a video, and I kind of poked a little fun at him and did a short saying do not do that because it causes issues. And honestly, I did a short before he did it. I did it with chrome paint, and I got it all over my shop. All it spit out the sides of the guns and everything like that. So I'm not saying any of these products are 100% perfect, and there are still stuff you can do that's you should not do with any of them as far as the electric guns go.
Yes.
Compared to some of the other HVLP guns. And they still got a long ways to go to 100% catch up. But can you get stuff done easy use wise with these electric spray guns? I mean, you can. And in the Craft X, to me right now, the Drizzle X, to me, it just... I like the way it's going. I like the direction of it. To me, it makes the most sense. It's the most practical for do-it-yourself at home if you're going to do a whole car. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and here's the other thing. I think we touched on this last time we were doing this. The fact is that market it's growing in leaps and bounds. The technology, the capability, all the stuff you can do with these electrics now.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's growing in leaps and bounds.
And everybody wants to do it themselves nowadays because stuff's so expensive. That's why the video today, I wanted to kind of touch on prices and stuff. Even me, trying to do it as a business is completely different than just doing it, for your friend at the house or whatever. Well, because you have to cover your butt, and then especially if you're doing social media, you have to be super particular that much more because your reputation is out there on things. And that's another reason why when I promote these products and I give you guys my opinions on it, I'm not throwing shade on any other YouTuber. I mean, I might disagree with them, but that doesn't mean I think they don't know what they're talking about. It's just maybe doing what they're doing, they haven't thought about it as much in simple terms with, hey, this person's going to pick up a paint gun for the first time and go out there and use this.
Make it more approachable.
And they're going to try to do it with a whole car, know? So that's what I think about. And then even me, even with the other, like the Flanks gun and the High Chica gun, I couldn't wait for somebody to come out with a gravity-fed model version of something because I did not like dealing with them siphon guns. I mean, I can do it, but cleaning it and taking it apart between stuff, and I like the sleeve cup system. I like with the gravity fed.
Remember, a lot of the old siphon guns, them things held about a quart.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, especially a guy who's used to mixing up some Centauri, throwing it in there, hardener, whatever. He knew usually how well it was going to cover, and he knew when to stop on a panel, reload, come back at it.
Yeah.
That was that old school mentality. You didn't have technology, you had knowledge.
But those are learned skills over time. Somebody that's just picking up for the first time,
you want to kind of pick up something that's approachable that works.
Yeah, and I want to promote stuff for people in a sense of the way I think it's going to be the most practically used if you try to do a whole car with it or something like that. So that's why I say Drizzle X over the High Chica. I know it's the unpopular opinion, but that's the reasons I actually say that I like that, and I like the Wagner with the gravity-fed attachment, even though I know...
I wish they would put more R&D into that one and develop it more, because that has so much potential.
It does, but the Wagner,
a good gun.
That was a one-and-done product. They developed that, and then they never did anything else with it, which it's a shame. And then you got like the Fuji system stuff that's like $700-800 where it's an all-in-one unit. I've never really sprayed much with those. Have you ever messed with one of those? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The Fuji system guns. So I mean, there's a lot of different stuff out there, especially if you don't want to go through like buying a whole compressor and stuff like that. But yeah, my biggest three things, and I just thought about this because was something you said was the cup size, the hopper size on the Intercraft Drizzle X. I think it'll be nice long term if they make a like industrial size version, a bigger one. How like you got these cups, but you also got like the taller, bigger ones.
Yeah, you got all those like the 22-ounce cups.
And I know 3M, because the cup system they're using, it's modeled a lot off of the 3M cup system. 3M makes a bigger version of it.
Yes.
So if they bring that to market for that, they up the fluid input of the DX.
I actually remember the part number on that 26024.
Yeah, and then they make the fan pattern a little bit wider, which the tip size can greatly affect both the fluid output and making the fan pattern a little bit wider. So you can kind of manipulate that a little bit by putting a bigger tip on it and
Yeah.
dialing the fluid back in a little bit. That will allow you to have that wider fan pattern because of the tip size, and then you'll have a little bit more control over the fluid. But it does make things a little more finicky for dialing everything in correctly compared to using the smaller tips, especially if you're worried about getting an orange peel in your finish like that. Because when you go down to like something like a 1.0 tip, the fluid output on it isn't much at all. But I mean, you can practically just sit there and go like this back and forth with a 1.0 tip and not get any orange peel half the time because the fluid output is so low in the way it levels stuff out. A lot of people always say the 1.2 tip is kind of the sweet spot. But
I mean, I know a lot of guys that use 1.3s is their clear gun all day long.
that's yeah. A lot of people I've heard 1.2 for base, 1.3 for that, and I mean,
See,
I think it depends on
right.
everybody's the way they spray too.
Right, and I mean,
people are more aggressive.
Usually a 1.4 is a safe tip for like a base gun when you're doing automotive grade paint. Now,
Justin said, I bought a 28-ounce cups on the Intercraft site yesterday. Yeah, see, they're already offering it. A lot of people will probably wondered why I did a video last week of the X, and I haven't done any more with it. They're sending me more sleeves. I ran out of sleeves. So I told them to send me a bunch of sleeves. That's one benefit I have because I'm kind of locked in with Intercraft is they're sending me stuff, and I can get some of that stuff for free because I'm pushing it out on the channel a little bit.
I was just thinking of something before we go to another question. What was that, 20 years ago when it came to air tools?
Yeah.
Electric tools came out, they were corded, they were horrendous. But now think about it, what's the first thing you pick up when you're out in the shop buzzing off a wheel?
Oh, dude.
An electric impact.
And and everything's cordless. I want cordless. And that's why everybody with these electric guns, cordless.
Well, think about how quickly that technology developed to the point where now when we think about an impact in the shop, it's not an airline hook to it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a battery. You're switching out like a Milwaukee M18 or
Well, my thing is with these electric spray guns, and even High Chica, like I'm all for a battery-powered version. Like I get it. Is it going to add more weight to everything and make it a little bit different? But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, if they put a quality, strong enough battery on it to where because like I said, I understand primarily use. We'll put it on our website and say, hey, this is not made to paint a whole car. This is for touch-up stuff, and they cover their butts by doing that. But people want to paint a whole car. So design a battery that's industrial enough if you're going to make it a battery model that will paint a whole car.
Let's see here. Quantum resin. The tractor paint is amazing. The stuff is tough and lasts. Even just sitting out in the weather every day. That's actually pretty fair with most catalyzed products.
Yeah.
You add a hardener to it, it does exponentially increase its ability to withstand UV.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something to be said for the oil-based paint over some of this other stuff too. I mean, obviously, automotive stuff is designed the way it is, and it works great. But I mean, for the money, and I mean, a $50 gallon, or I go pick this thing right here up, this little satin quart. This thing right here cost me $20. How much is that chroma base?
This one was just about, I think it was a little over 300. It's an M code.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just the price difference of some of this stuff is outrageous. I mean, last time I priced a gallon of just the regular Nason, it was $600-700.
Oh yeah, no, this. Well, let's see here.
That's full base.
I was gonna say it's full base. What cost?
Base code. What do you got?
Just the B code.
That's
So that one was, I was gonna say that one was probably for a gallon, $350.
When?
For B code?
Yeah. Because the last time I priced it out, was that with the shop discount or with?
Yeah. That's probably with a shop discount.
I'm talking about coded for somebody walking in.
I was going to say.
Last time I priced this out for somebody walking in, she told me $650 for a gallon of.
All right, so I
a black with a metallic in it.
I can believe that, and I've also been out of.
Yeah, you ain't been at Napa here lately.
So yeah, I was going to say chroma base has been phased out, guys. So Just for that information, the new one now is
Chrome Max.
the Chrome XXP.
Yeah, XP.
Just like regular Nason, like they're trying to kind of work away from that towards Nason XL.
Yeah, and
But-
Mason XL is a lot better quality. It's not, dude. It's a lot thicker paint.
Yeah, it is, but it covers a lot better. It is a great product.
Yeah.
But whenever you're going for something like this, Axalta has price increases sometimes every year, sometimes biannually.
Yeah.
And during COVID, sometimes it was 3 times a year. It went.
Yeah.
The prices would jump. So
Well, and for a lot of people with automotive paint that are not familiar with Nason or whatever, I don't know if you've ever sprayed with automotive paint, but you got Axalta brand. They have their cheap stuff, which is Nason. If you're dealing with PPG, another popular one's Omni.
Omni.
That's their brand, their cheap brand. So if you've ever heard of Omni or Nason, they're kind of comparable like that. I've shot a lot of Omni. And
Yeah.
I've shot a lot of PPG clear, and I like their clear. I like the way it lays out.
See, I've shot a lot of Nason, and when it comes to the Nason clear, there's the 258 clear, which is clear for the sake of being clear. That's about it. It has no real UV.
What is it, the 458? That's the high solids?
The 498.
490.
The 497 is the high solids. 497, that stuff, when you go to try to cut and buff that, it's like cutting and buffing concrete.
All right.
It's high solids. The 496 is the fast, the snap dry, and the 498 is the overall.
Okay. Sorry,
It's spot
guys. Me
and
and him,
panel.
well, what times we'll start the banner. When we're hanging out, a lot of times the wives hate it too, because I ran into them the other day at the Dollar Tree, and we're just sitting there.
And I watched both the wives' eyes glaze over immediately because they knew.
We pick a subject, and next thing you know, we're just going back and forth. Oh, ain't this? Well, no, this is that, and this is. And then the next thing you know, we're sitting there talking for 45 minutes on something stupid, just one little subject. But all right, will the Harbor Freight Spectre sleeves fit the DX? I'm not sure. Man, I don't even know what. I think the DX has 600 milliliter cup sleeves. But you'll have to double check on the website to see what milliliter cup sleeves those are. But they might fit. I don't know. And we'll try to get into some more of your comments, because me and him, I said, we'll sit here and go all day. And I want to actually answer some of y'all's questions as much as I can. Can a siphon gun be used for clear coat? Definitely, David.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the siphon guns are the OG guns, man. That's like the old Binks and stuff. That's what they were using way back when.
It's just being mindful of how you hold the spray gun.
And making sure you got enough material in that spray gun to cover you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like anything else. You got to know how it's designed. The siphon guns have a tube that picks it up in the bottom of the gun. So if you turn it up sideways like this, all your material runs down. And that tube, if it grabs the least bit of air,
It's going to start spitting.
It's going to spit. So be mindful of that with the siphon guns. That's why I like the DX electric gun with the gravity fed, because it's kind of foolproof with that. Plus, with the clear cup system on it, you see the sleeve and everything in real time as the fluid's being pressed out. So I feel like you notice that better than you do with the siphon gun, because the siphon gun cups are mounted up under it, and some people they're looking like this over top. And unless you're just used to the feel of being low in fluid, which is something you learn over time, some people just might forget, and then it picks up air, and next thing you know, you're spitting, and you got a bunch of droplets, and who knows else what in your paint job. So,
let's see here. Have you ever sprayed plastic dip? I've actually seen Matthew has asked this twice, so I would like to cover this. Have you sprayed any plastic dip or any peelable coating?
yes, I've sprayed plastic dip peelable coating. I've sprayed acrylic latex paint, which is pretty much, it ends up
The
like
same
plastic
thing?
dip. Yeah, house paint, if it's acrylic latex, painter's touch, it acts much like plastic dip as well, except it acts like really thin plastic dip. I don't know what you're wanting to know as far as the plastic dip goes. Does it work good? Yeah. I've seen a lot of this newer peelable coating. The big trick with plastic dip, though, is making sure you spray it on thick enough. A lot of people, because of the price of plastic dip, especially when they're buying these kits from like Fonzie, Dip Your Car, or whatever, they'll buy these kits and they'll try to cheap out. They're like, oh, if I can just get coverage. It ain't like paint. You can just get coverage, but if you ever try and change it again and it's too thin, it will not peel off and it'll
Yep.
just tear and shear off in little pieces. And then you can get it off, but you'll have to use something like gasoline or petrol or something like that.
When I worked at the Jeep shop there, we had a Toyota FJ Cruiser come in, and that thing had been overhauled in Plastidip. And here's the worst part. They did it right. They scuffed the whole thing down before they Plastidipped it. That was the biggest nightmare to try. And they tell you the citrus solvent that you're, you're supposed to pull off.
Dip dissolver they have that they spray on it, which is pretty much a really strong citrus-based stripper agent.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of people. I had to use gasoline. I've dealt a lot with plastic dip, especially. Oh my gosh, back in like the 2015s and 2016s, I had so many cars brought to me to paint, and they're like, "Yeah, it's just it's plastic dip, but you can peel it off." No, I had the worst car, and I'll never forget it. I bought an Acura Integra from a guy one time. It was B20V swapped, and he had scuffed it. He had painted it with white plastic dip, and then bed liner over top of the plastic dip, and then painted over top of the bed liner.
Did he just hate the next person who did that?
Yeah, the next person was me. I got the car from him. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It took me forever. I had to 40 grit the whole car by hand with a grinder. And it took me like a week to get all that stuff off. It was a nightmare. That was the worst car I've ever done to have to strip back. So yeah, I've dealt with plastic dip, but please, if you decide to plastic dip a car, put enough coats on it. Spend the extra money. Get enough to do everything the right way, and
make it genuinely peelable.
Make it genuinely peelable. Because if you don't, and if it's a car you care about long term, and you ever try to go back and change something up or whatever, and you go to peel it, you will be in for a big shock if you don't put it on thick enough.
See, the only one I've ever dealt with was Duplicolor makes that version of wrap, like we used to sell at the store there, and I've used it as like a temporary bra. For the front of the car. Like if you're going on a road trip or something, it takes the stone chips, it takes the bugs, and then when you're done with it, you're done with it. You just peel it off, get rid of it, and call it a day.
Yeah.
But the other important part of it is don't scuff anything. Make sure that there's clear coat, and make sure that there's a way for that to actually gradually peel.
Yeah, because plastic dip is designed to be a film coating, like kind of like PPF, like a protective type deal. So you don't want to sand it, because you do, then it grabs to it, and then, again, even if it's super thick, it just...
It's adhered.
Yeah. So, remember they made a circle tube for those Binks guns back in the day. I had a comment from Danny Lee. Danny, unfortunately, man, I know a little bit of the Binks stuff. I was born in 1985, so I didn't start painting until around 2000, and so my knowledge of some of the Bink stuff is probably not what some of you older guys know, and I'm sure y'all can either appreciate it and everything. I would love to see one of those though.
Yeah,
the circle tube adapter thing you're talking about. Maybe you can hit up Ichika or one of them other guns that are doing the ciphering guns. Tell them to put a circle tube thing on it, because that sounds like it might be.
Yeah. It sounds like it could be interesting. Like that gives me something to look up when I get home.
Yeah, I need to look into that.
Because I've only ever dealt with the siphon guns like back in the day, and I've dealt with a lot of the guys who did stuff in like Centauri and old school Imron, the old white and green label Imron.
Yeah, Josh has got a little more experience with some of the older technology stuff than I have. I go back to pretty much the Nason and the Omni stuff. I go back to probably about PPG 2002 clear, somewhere in that realm of things. That was kind of my entry level into a lot of the automotive paint side of things. And then I've played with so many different brands of stuff over the years, and then of course I dabbled with a lot of the Rust-Oleum and some of the other cheap paints. Well,
talking to old school painters, if you want a true black paint, everybody's always told me Centauri 99A, nothing looks better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody's always complaining about the Rust-Oleum having a natural brown hue. And
what's weird though is Harley Black is the same way. Where if you look at it and you spray like a GM 8555 over it,
right,
or next to it,
Yeah.
Hartley Black is not truly black. It's the same way as the Rust-Oleum. It has like a brown cast to it.
Yeah, and that's because of the binding agent.
Yeah.
It's cheaper paint. Danny Lee said 1976. Yeah, man, you got me by like 10, 11 years as far as that stuff goes. But I definitely appreciate the knowledge, especially
Yeah.
for any of you older guys that share stuff. I appreciate where all of the paint and stuff has come from, and paving the way to make it easier for some of the younger guys. I mean, because a lot of these like really younger guys have never even sprayed with an old Binks or any kind of siphon feed gun, enough to appreciate it. That's why when I see some of these like Hachika guns and stuff like that design, I'm like, and compared to the gravity fed, I'm like, I'm a gravity fed nut, so obviously I'm gonna prefer the gravity fed over that stuff.
When I worked at the store in Pennsylvania, I had a kid come in. Apparently he was on TikTok or YouTube and he saw a short where somebody used a pump sprayer
Oh yeah,
to lay base coat.
yeah.
And he came in and he wanted a quart of black, and he was just as positive that they really did it with a pump sprayer. And I had to explain to him, I'm like, you got to be careful when it comes to equipment because, I mean, I'm sure if you knew what the heck you were doing and you did a small enough part, you could probably make it look good enough.
Dude, I saw a thumbnail the other day and I didn't click on it. I should have clicked on it to watch it. It was a guy, it was a bigger YouTuber. I cannot remember his name. It was something garage. And on the thumbnail, he had a picture of like he had painted the car like a candy lime green, right? And he had the hood right there with the fender on another stand and all the panels scattered up.
Yep.
And he's showing himself holding a squirt bottle. Like he painted the whole car with a squirt bottle. I'm like, there ain't no way.
No, well, I was trying to explain to the kid with the pump sprayer. I'm like, that's like painting your car with a fire hose.
There ain't no way.
We got Gat's Garage. Can epoxy primer cover minor surface rust? In theory, would it not seal out all the moisture? In theory, yes,
Yeah.
but the problem you're running into, and the reason that rust converters actually exist, is they have phosphoric acid in there, and the phosphoric acid actually neutralizes the rust.
Yeah.
Just sealing it in from oxygen really won't stop it. It's kind of why, like when you get rubberized undercoat and you go to spray it on something underneath, and this is something I'm used to coming from the north. A lot of guys will take a rusty frame, they'll knock off the heavy scale, they'll get a big old can of rubberized undercoat and they'll go at it, and it looks great for about 2 years. Yeah. And then all the rust underneath that comes right back with a vengeance.
I'm glad you said that because that makes it like I see it all the time with cars being shipped over here from Japan.
Yep.
Because they're like their moisture content in their air and everything is like it's just terrible over there. And you see all these cars come in off the boat imported and they're all plastic undercoated and everything like that, and then people go to chip them off and everything, and it's just everything's all rusted out and whatever. Because I mean, if you don't get in there and you don't treat it properly, man, that rust will spread like wildfire. And I've seen so many people doing it. Getting back to like the price of things, they'll see a crack and they think, oh, it's just a chip, or just the paint's chipped or whatever. Up under that crack, it's probably filler, and it's probably rust up under the filler where something won't prep right, and now it's cracking back through. And unless you take all that filler off, get back down in there, get that rust out, treat it, build everything back up. Like I've seen so many people try to halfway do it, and they'll just scuff it down and throw a little bit of filler in that crack and sand it down and roll on. Yeah, 6 months later, guess what? That cracks back.
Well, back up home, Pennsylvania, especially in like New York and the New England states, there used to be this thing called Z-Bart.
Yeah.
And what it would be is you buy the car brand new, you buy like a 5-year package, and every year you go to this place, and they would hose it down with rubberized undercoat.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where at the end of 5 years, you couldn't find bolts.
Yeah.
Like it was thick.
I've seen it.
Like McDonald's milkshake thick.
Yeah.
But what would happen is it would get a chip somewhere along the way, and then it would look great until you peeled it, and then frame scale would just start coming off with the big sheets of rubber because it's doing the opposite. Now, coming back to full circle on this thing, don't just epoxy primer over rust. It's cancer for a reason. Once it's there, it's there. You have to either get rid of it or neutralize it. So you can use, what was it? Sem has rust mort. Even
There's-
Duplicolor has
yeah.
Rust Fix, the RF129.
Yeah.
That is another good product too. But either way, you have to use something to neutralize that.
And you want to get down in there too, because
Yes.
here's the key with it. A lot of people, they just get the surface stuff off, especially if there's pitting, and they'll get that down. They'll scuff the top of the surface of it, and they'll spray it in there. Everything turns black color, so they think everything's good to go. And then they seal it. They do everything else. And then a few months later, bubbles coming through. You have to get down in those pits. You have to grind it down. And more than likely, what you're going to find, unfortunately, is it's going to start shearing away because of all the little pinholes and stuff like that. And a lot of times you're not seeing it from the backside. It's probably expanded and everything like that. But, rust neutralizers, they work great. But like I said, you still got to be mindful of the fact, unless you just get it in there perfectly and you get that top layer and it's just right, you still got some behind the stuff, and long term it's still going to come back through. The only true way to get it done and get it done right long term is to just go ahead, grind it out, cut it out, and replace it. But neutralizers do work good. It can protect something and keep it good for another 10, 15 years.
Right, like it's all in how you use it. If you just slam it on there, but you don't really go through the extra processes of trying to remove as much as you can.
Yeah.
Because really what that's designed for is you have pitted rust down at the bottom where you can't get a wire wheel or something in.
Yeah.
And you don't want to grind it off. That's kind of designed to get to the very, very bottom of the pit of rust to neutralize what's left. Let's see here.
It's a containment unit. That's
yes.
it. It's not it's not going to solve the problem long term. So
Jack Longberry, man, let's see here. I think I've watched almost all your videos in the last 2 weeks.
Man, bless you, because I got like 860 now. I can't wait to put it out there. It's going to be my 1,000th episode.
Let's see here. Justin, I'm guessing WV, West Virginia. Do you think the hardener for a base coat is really necessary if using the Rust-Oleum gallons if you will be clear coating it in 2K?
I've done it both ways, Justin. I've done it without it. Is it 100% necessary? And I got this question the other day. I don't know if it was from you, and I try to respond. I respond back to everybody's questions. Do you have to put it in there? No, you don't have to put it in there. But what happens is you seal everything with 2K clear coat over top of it. Now, there's two different ways you can look at this. Let's take it from the first perspective of you just do Rust-Oleum. You don't put a hardener in that. It's going to take that Rust-Oleum a few weeks to completely cure out. Another thing, you're going to be smelling it for a few weeks after the fact. If you get any kind of rain on it, water or anything like that, it's going to leave water spots on it, and you're going to have to take distilled vinegar and stuff like that over the water spots to even get them out. The hardener, what it does is it just activates the finish that much more, makes it go on and harden up and almost eggshell itself. It'll cure everything out much quicker within usually about 48 hours compared to a week or two. If you're doing 2K clear over top of it now, I've gotten by with that much more too. The problem is with that is once you seal everything with the 2K clear, if you by chance ever get like you hit something and it breaks through that layer of clear back down to that Rust-Oleum is going to act much like I was talking about earlier, the acrylic latex paint. It's going to rubberize and it's going to be impossible to feather out and sand. A lot of people complain about that with the spray can paint. So that's what it does. If you add that hardener agent into it, what it does is it will continue to harden up even with the 2K clear on top of it. And then if you ever have to go back and sand it or cut through, it'll harden up enough to where it makes the Rust-Oleum to where you can feather it out enough to just recoat it, prime it, do whatever you got to do and get by without, having to just go down the rabbit hole, because I've done it before and I've cut through the clear coat down to the Rust-Oleum and you're just chasing it across the panel trying to get it to feather out, and it won't do it because you didn't add any kind of a extra hardener or something like that into it. So
see, to me, if there's any product you can catalyze it.
Exactly. That's kind of the whole thing. Catalyze it.
Just for the sheer fact of the durability.
And then if you're worried about everything taking a step further at all, then, and you're doing a cheap paint job thing, There's always been this discussion of spraying wet on wet versus letting it cure out completely. Because if you don't give the Rust-Oleum enough time to set up before you spray that clear on top of it, then it does tend to stay a little bit on the softer side up under it after the fact, to where when you put the clear over top, it's hard enough, or it's catalyzed, or not catalyzed, it's cured out enough to bond with everything and to continue curing out, but it cures out at a much slower rate than the clear coat. So you'll notice when you spray that clear coat over top of it, you come back days or weeks later and it will shrink up a little bit.
Yep.
You'll have a perfect glass finish at first and you'll think you did everything great, and you come back 2 weeks later and it shrank back a little bit. You got a little bit of orange peel on your finish. So the only other way to remedy that would be to let the Rust-Oleum cure out completely, go back 800, grit it lightly, wet sand it, get it super smooth after it's completely cured out, and then clear coat it. That way you'll still have that good mechanical bond and everything will lay out like glass because the Rust-Oleum's already cured, and then the only thing you have to worry about curing is the clear coat and the little bit of shrink back you'll get in your clear coat. Because I don't care anybody tells you, even in the automotive paint world and stuff like that, they spray it out, it looks like glass. Great. I lay glass. I hear that all day long.
But nobody sees it a week later.
Let me see it a week later. Let me see it a month later after it's completely cured out. It's still curing. I know it looks like glass right after you sprayed it a day or two later. Yeah, but, and it's like other things too. Like Josh will probably attest to this too. You want to know if somebody's done great body work or something like that, everything will look great first. If you don't primer it, you don't block it out or whatever, you spray that Rust-Oleum over top of it or paint, you clear coat it, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later when it completely cures out, it looks like glass, beautiful as soon as you're done. Then you come back one day and you look at it, you see the bodywork area and you look at it from the side.
And you start seeing everything coming through, yeah.
There's a ring.
It's the beer goggles effect. It looks great. It looks great while you're going through it, and then later on you're like, ooh.
Yeah. So that's one of those things. Don't be fooled by the I lay glass thing all the time, guys, because it's a chemical process going on with all this stuff. And I always hear so much about the orange peel and stuff like that. And a lot of my stuff, most of you know by now, I'm doing test panels. Do I care about every single 250 plus spray out I've done being 100% perfect and not having any orange peel in it? No, because my goal with the spray outs was never to show perfection. It was so you guys could see color combinations that you could use on your own projects. That was, I wasn't going for perfection.
Laying out the recipe.
Yeah, I was just showing everybody because nobody else has gone down the rabbit hole and taken the time of showing every possible color combination with pearls, candies, or whatever, so that people at home know how to achieve certain effects. That was always the goal when I started doing the Rust-Oleum Custom Mix series. And I still do that to this day. And I still get tons of people go, the orange peel, that's horrendous. I'm like, well, good thing I'm not putting it on a car.
Well, like I said before, one of these days on a video, what you need to do is you need to show before you strip those things back down again, the fact that they look like a jawbreaker.
Oh, I have. And I did a video recently. It was the stripping paint hack where I used a razor blade scraper and a heat gun. And I showed everybody how to peel it off because the heat will reactivate the oils and stuff in paint and it softens it up just enough to where that razor blade will scrape it right off while it's hot. It just kind of weakens it to where you can peel it off. So yeah, there's that, man. There's just so many things out there. When I hear people talk about orange peel and stuff like that, I'm like, you never really know how good a quality paint job somebody did until weeks after it's been sprayed and it sat outside and it's properly cured. And any good painter that's done it for long enough to have an opinion will tell you that.
Yep.
That's why all these guys doing the show car paint jobs. I know there's a lot of shops when I was at Napa. We got quite a few of them that take their cars to Meekum and do it, and they will let stuff sit out months in the sun and cure and die back and shrink before they go back and cut and buff it.
Because that car has to be absolute perfection.
It has to be perfect. And when stuff shrinks back after a few weeks, which it will, it don't matter what it is, it's inevitable. There's going to be some texture in it. I don't care how good you applied it. So it's just something to think about. Just something to think about,
That was a good question, Justin. And yes, I would say it is worth the added cost.
It is. long story short, I know I'm rambling, but I wanted to explain it, and I was a little long-winded, but so I hope that answered that question.
Rusted Motor Company. Why use Rust-Oleum if you have to buy the hardener? By the time you do that, you could have gotten a gallon of automotive base, especially if you use 2 cans per gallon of hardener, like a lot of guys. I've never used 2 cans of hardener
Do
per
not
gallon.
use 2 cans of.
I've
Allow my point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have done plenty of equipment trailers in white Rust-Oleum catalyzed.
It's useless. Like if you
Yeah.
if you add too much hardener to it,
You just reverse the effect of what you're trying to go
you're
for.
not getting any added benefit to that.
No.
Yeah,
I-
1 pint of hardener to a whole gallon of paint.
Yes.
That is the way it's supposed to be done. But you know, I'll go with you, Rusted Road Motor Co. Why use the Rust-Oleum if you can get? And there are other paint kits out there. It really just depends on what you're going for, what you're trying to do. I can buy. All right, let's look at the price here. I can buy a whole gallon of Rust-Oleum for $48.99 at Lowe's. I have to buy the hardener agent, which is another $30.
Yeah.
So we're at what? We're at $80. And then I have to buy a gallon of the thinner. You're at $100 for doing that. There are acrylic enamel base coat kits you can get out there. It gets a whole gallon with it, and it comes with the hardener on eBay. TCP Global makes them. They're really cool kits. You can look them up if you guys are interested in these certain colors, because obviously we know Rust-Oleum doesn't come in, metallic colors or whatever else in gallon form. They're around 140, 150 bucks. For just, it's a one and done acrylic enamel. It's not designed to be top coated though. If you did get something like that, you'd have to let it completely cure out, wet sand and clear coat it, or else you probably get reactions. So yeah, you're not saving a whole lot doing the Rust-Oleum. $100 versus $150 for a kit like that.
The only thing I will say maybe about the TCI, the acrylic enamel, TCP Global, is that like Nason Fast Dry.
Yeah.
There's just not. I can't see something that cheap having any real UV resistance.
That's
to
where
it.
I was going to get to with it. Nason Fast Dry, and it's gotten expensive.
It has, and the only real benefit it has, and honestly, as far as I'm concerned, it's just Centauri with the dryer mixed into it.
Yeah.
But it's an uncatalyzed acrylic enamel.
Yeah.
And the UV just tears that up because it's tractor paint. It's designed to be put on every few years.
I guess I say the cheap paint systems, a lot of times the shines on them don't last, especially if they're acrylic enamel. Is there any real benefit to using the Rust-Oleum over that? Maybe, no, not really. As far as the Rust-Oleum goes, I think you'll get much better coverage with the Rust-Oleum. It can be thinned out much more. If you buy a gallon kit from them, it comes with the reducer and everything else, but I think the mix ratio and a lot of that stuff is, it might be
like 8 to 2 to 1.
Yeah, it's just something weird. So like you'll end up with about maybe a gallon and a quarter of mixed product. With the Rust-Oleum stuff though, if you mix it out 2 to 1, you can even go a little bit more than that. You got a little bit more product like that, but at the end of the day, with a lot of the stuff I'm doing with the Rust-Oleum paint jobs, especially with the black and stuff, I'm just using it to get coverage. A lot of stuff I've been doing here lately, I've been using the base binder from Speedo Coat. It's $100. It mixes 1 to 1, and I've been using the color blender. It mixes 1 to 1. So a lot of what I'm doing is trying to help people take a step further and get around the automotive base coat and everything in general, to where you could like prime your car in a black or gray, whatever want. Use the base coat binder to create your own paint, and then clear coat over top of it, so that you don't have to go the extra mile of spending more on paint, because the acrylic enamel stuff is really thin. The shine doesn't last on it usually long term. You usually get about a year and a half on it, which, I mean, like I said,
that's a cheap acrylic enamel.
That's also kind of like the Rust-Oleum. The shine don't really last on it,
But if you catalyze it, it does tend to extend it
It does
out.
tend to stand it, but it puts it right in the same category as the
Yeah.
automotive. So I guess I say all this to say it really just depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
If you want to try to make and create a cheap, like the cheapest possible version of an expensive paint job, then you can take and you find a base that's similar, whether it be a black or a gray or whatever, in the primer. You take the base coat binder or the color blender, you use pearls or candy additives or whatever
Right.
else to act as a mid coat over top of the primer coat you're using. That way it bonds and everything. And then you stack a 2K clear coat over top of it. Then you've pretty much created your own.
But you see, when it comes to like that though, you've got to be talking about like the low end acrylic enamels, kind of like the farm and implement kind
Yeah,
of
it
grade
is because.
stuff.
And,
Oh, wow.
did you lock me in, man?
I don't know. I almost died
Almost
there. For a
lost
minute.
you, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but no, but when you start getting into the better products like full krill, full thane, stuff like that, that's where you start getting into. It is more. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
$400 to $500 a gallon, but you end up with something that has a long term
I say all this to say,
Yeah.
you have to know what you're trying to get, what
Yes.
you're trying to accomplish. Out
level of
there.
expectation.
Because there is so much, like the cheap paints out there. A lot of times they're cheap for a reason. If you're just trying to get that color and they happen to make that color, and you're going to go back and clear it, whatever, possibly, then you can go that route too. A lot of what I'm doing is dabbling in you guys being able to create your own colors and get something cool, like for a one-off paint job when it comes to using the Rust-Oleum stuff.
Yes.
So that's where I'm going with that. You can go. There's so many different options. Be wary of modern day acrylic enamels because there's different levels to it. Some of them are better than others. Like me and Josh were talking about, when you go to, say, walk into the Napa store, we have levels. You have the fast dry nason, then you stepped up to your regular acrylic enamel, then you stepped up to your acrylic urethane.
Yeah. Yeah. You had full krill.
Yeah,
You had full
urethane
thane.
enamel.
Yeah.
Then you
Urethane.
had the base. Was the base coat next?
Yeah. Base coat. Base clear.
So, and you'll notice that with TCP on their website, like they have a whole all-in-one kit on TCP Global or on eBay. If you look at the kits, the acrylic enamel kits are about $150. They also sell the same exact paint, but in base coat form. The base coat, just the base coat gallons, around $300, and then you can buy the full kit from them with everything for I want to say it's like $500 for an actual base coat clear coat kit. It's like Restoration Shop does them, and TCP Global does them too. So, and they have a lot of popular colors that everybody likes. Hugger Orange, like off the old Camaros. They got Plum Crazy Purple and some of the stuff. So those are great options too. I'm not saying Rust-Oleum is the best possible option
No.
for everybody. I'm saying it's a great option if you just want to do a cheap one and done for $100 or less, because with the Rust-Oleum, say you're painting a regular Honda Civic or even a small truck, even a medium-sized truck. This stuff thinned out enough, you can probably get by with 2 quarts of it with everything else and the hardener, and be around $50, $60, $70 for everything. And you're just on a cheap paint job on it, and it'll hold up about the same as a entry-level acrylic enamel paint job like the TCP stuff for another $50, $60. So you're not saving a whole lot, but it just depends on what you're going for. And
In that category, it's kind of two separate methods getting to the same end result.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not saying this is the best way to go with cheap Rust-Oleum paint. I just make it approachable, and I use it with the spray cans and stuff. I have a lot of people that paint whole cars on the channel, old painters that watch me, new painters that watch me. I have a lot of people that are just painting guitars or mailboxes or just doing epoxy work and stuff. I mean, I've had a little bit of it all, so. I try to approach it from every angle, but most of my stuff, like my passion for this, is using the cheapest possible ways of creating more expensive looking paint jobs on a budget, like I say, and just trying to create something that looks like $1 million, $10,000 paint job for $200 in materials. So,
Prepper BC4ZR, can you still buy lacquer paint? Yes,
Yeah.
but it's very limited now because of the VOC regulations.
yeah.
Duplicolor makes it still. Like all of their perfect match stuff, it's all lacquer.
Rust-Oleum does some too. I was looking at some. They do the lacquer like color series. They got like different color chromes and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And I believe, what is that? Not year one,
It's
but
being remarketed
yeah.
and like redone a long ways. Do I don't even know if it's true like old school lacquer type paint.
No, it's probably an acrylic lacquer, like a modern
it's
version
and it's
of
very
it.
thin. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Um,
Justin said the base is just coverage for me. The real show will be the candy. Yeah, Justin, that's kind of where I'm going for because a lot of the candies and the metallics and a lot of these coats they either call for a black base, a white base, or a gray base or something like that, which is something neutrally speaking you can achieve from even a primer if you wanted to. And then you use like a clear base maker and you can create your own base with the flakes, the candies, the pearls. Candy paint, if you buy it in bulk from somebody like Tropical Glitz and buy the gallons and stuff like that, that stuff's expensive. So you use something like the Limelight Candy Concentrate, which is, $50 for a 16 ounce. You can dump it in a whole gallon of it and have a really saturated candy base and then throw some pearls in it to spice it up too and create a really cool custom color. And, obviously you got to pay for the primer, whatever that costs. But for the paint job itself, you can get out for $250 in materials to where if you were to replicate the same type of thing in something like Tropical Glitz or some of those other guys, it's 3-4 times the cost by the time you buy everything. So I don't know. I mean, you're at the end of the day with some of this stuff, depending on what type of paint job you're doing, you're not saving a whole lot, especially if you're just doing a simple metallic paint job or just say you're just doing a basic boring old gloss paint job, solid color, and that type deal.
yeah.
Then by all means, if you want to buy a single stage kit, then use that. Then you can use that, and if it starts to fade on you, catch it, wet sand it down, throw some 2K clear over it, and be good with that.
I mean, there are a lot of cases where there is still a call for single stage.
Yeah. And so I'm not knocking any of it.
No.
I've used it all. I've done everything
With
from
single stage though. If you're going to do a metallic though, do not color sand and buff it because you will change it.
Nowadays, yeah,
Yes.
some of that stuff is cheap. Also, fast dry. If you ever get into the fast dry, like the really cheap acrylic enamel,
Don't spray it outside the recoat window.
don't spray it outside the recoat window. Be mindful that you will have a color, you will not have a shine.
Yeah.
And no matter how wet you spray it, that stuff dries flat like the daggone paint shop.
It's almost like a satin finish.
Yeah, you'll have the color, but it just doesn't have the depth that the higher end
Fast dry.
stuff does.
It's a farm and implement paint was what it was originally designed for.
Yeah.
And that on a Massey Ferguson or something like that, it's great.
Fast dry is like an automotive version of Rust-Oleum that you can actually get in automotive or OEM colors. And it used to be extremely affordable. You used to be able to get it for like $30 a quart, right? So you could theoretically paint your whole car with and you could get any color in it just about. So you could get just about any color for around $120.
Don't try to get like GM 8624 in it though, because it will always come up yellow compared to the rest of
Fast
the
dry isn't even dollars a quart. So I'm like, man, it's the automotive paint. When you go to a paint store like that and give us, it's kind of expensive.
Yet again, if you're gonna go automotive paint, spend money where money's due. Don't go whole hog. Don't get insane with it.
Yeah.
But if you are going to do a single stage, if you're going to do a car and you're spending good money to do a car, and we're not talking doing a Rust-Oleum, we're talking an automotive.
Yeah, I'm talking about actual,
do a urethane.
Oh, yeah.
It holds up
definitely.
so much better in the sun. The shine on it is great. I mean, it really is worth the money. If you're going to do a full acryl, just understand that it's still acrylic enamel. Eventually, it will start to dull off a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you can take like a DA and a little bit of like compound and fluff it back to life.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you've always been able to do that with single stage. If
The only problem with metallics, though, is I've seen a lot of guys where they'll color sand it. They'll go over it with 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 grit sandpaper, try to just really glass the thing out. And what they do is when it's metallic, you sand a lot of the metallic to the surface. Mm-hmm. And you end up with this weird, distorted, sometimes zebra stripe
Yeah,
looking.
and I've had a lot of people ask me that lately. I've had more people come to me about the acrylic enamel single stage stuff. I'm gonna see you spray some single stage because I think a lot of people are spraying with it more and more and having problems with a lot of the way the newer acrylic enamel stuff is designed because it's not that great when it comes down to it. It loses its shine. It's hard to slick it out good enough for it to keep a good shine without just overdoing it and then getting sags and runs and
Yep.
modeling and all this other
You
type
you
stuff. It's
you
it,
run into the fine line between mill thickness and
yeah.
what you
Yeah,
can.
so and I think that's more the problem. Like, is you have to be mindful of what kind of acrylic enamel you're buying because some
Yeah.
of the stuff out there is cheap for a reason, and it's
Yeah.
cheap. You're
It
not going to get the best overall finish with it. You might not be happy with it. So just kind of be cautious with a single stage paint because, like I said, especially when you're buying it online nowadays, usually if it's cheap, wholesale, whatever, it's cheap for a reason.
Yes. Hill Resto Adventure. Hey man, I did your Rust-Oleum spray job on my 65 Chevy Biscayne. Sweet car. With the Speedo Coat
Nice.
Clear. It did okay, but I had some tiger stripes with the pearl I added. Anything I can do during cutting and buffing? Thanks. I
Oh
would
boy.
say, yeah, because that's buried under the clear now.
Yeah.
What it is might have not have been far enough back.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times when you're spraying, and I've had it too with it with the pearls. You have to be real consistent with your spraying and overlapping while you're painting. The mica powder is such a fine particle when you're doing the pearls and stuff. You want to do your first two coats, the way you would do it. You'll probably end up with some tiger striping. Then you want to back up a little bit with it. You want to open up your fan pattern and then do another coat or two backed off the panel a little bit. A lot of the old school people, call it dust coating or whatever. And then you can even go to where you change your, oh, excuse me, change your way of spraying it because you're spraying the whole hood long ways. Spray it back off a little bit and spray it side to side on tight overlapping coats all the way down it. And that'll get rid of that tiger striping and get the metallics to lay out much more consistently. And I know it's a big pain for a lot of people because you'll deal with it there and a lot of times you'll deal with it on the roofs when you're spraying them, but a lot of people don't see it as much. It's not as noticeable and you'll deal with it some on the trunk. But the best way to do it is, like I said, back up a little bit, open your fan pattern up, do what they call a drop coat or orientation
Check
coat.
coat.
Some people check coat, dust coat. I mean, it's been called numerous different things, but you're just changing the way the metallics are laying out and trying to get everything to look more uniform because usually when you do just those first initial two coats and you're seeing the overlaps and the patterns where you've stacked it heavier in spots because of the way your gun's shooting it. So you just have to change it and go at it at different angles. That way the metallics lay out more uniform and consistently. So that's a quick explanation for it. So.
Veteran in Mississippi, 580. I'd also say Rust-Oleum's value is great for those learning spray technique like myself. If I screw up, it costs less to redo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. 100% yes.
Very. Rust-Oleum is just. It's one of those things, guys. It's a way to open the door to people that are learning how to paint. That's one of the reasons why I jumped on the Rust-Oleum. One, it made me kind of stand out a little bit more than some of the other YouTubers when I started coming out there. When you see all these different ways of, doing stuff for cheap. Rust-Oleum, especially the 2X cans on the shelf, in more recent years, they've made so many different colors. So it gave me a lot of different color options that I could grab for quick for shooting panels, to show you guys different color combinations. Because a lot of this has been about me trying to save money too to continue to do these spray outs because, I've spent a lot of money over the years. I mean, like I said, 250, almost 300 spray outs on fenders and stuff. That's a lot of clear. That's a lot of paint.
Yes, it is.
And if I was to go out and try to buy all that in automotive paint and stuff, oh boy, the bill would be astronomical. And then, because it's so much easier to grab a 2X can, spray the color on, and show you guys the color combinations, get you somewhat in the ballpark, as even if you wanted to say not use Rust-Oleum at all and do it in all automotive, just go find the color in automotive, spray it on there, and then you know what the pearl's going to do over top of it. So my whole process with that and using the Rust-Oleum really just started as a cheap way to show people the colors that wanted to learn this stuff and learn what, how to achieve certain effects and stuff like that. That was my whole point behind using Rust-Oleum. You do not have to use the Rust-Oleum at all if you don't want to. If you wanted to use all automotive materials, by any means, I am not limited, and you guys definitely don't be limited to just Rust-Oleum just because I've used it.
But if you're going to do automotive, the best way I say is go to your local paint store. See if somebody called in a mix they never came in for.
Yep, because all the time they're stacking it in the paint room or whatever else. You can go up there, you might get a can of automotive real cheap, and then you take it home, get you a panel, spray with it or whatever
and just practice.
Yeah, and just get familiar with the way it sprays.
Because once you start getting the technique down, eventually it's just little adjustments, the difference between spraying base coat and Rust-Oleum.
Yeah, exactly. Rusted Road said, wish Rust-Oleum would release those 2X can colors and quartz. Dude, you ain't kidding. Like, especially that blue, that cobalt blue, it's a really pretty color. Put it in a can. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard, especially the quartz. You've already got a bunch of other colors on the shelf, so might as well do that too.
It's almost like some emails need written somewhere.
And at least do it in oil-based. Don't put it on the shelf in a metallic form and it be acrylic latex. And then somebody grab it off the shelf, take it home and do it and mess up their car. And
yeah.
Anyways, don't get me started on that tangent. And I applied probably 2 or 3 years ago, no, 2 years ago I think it was, for Rust-Oleum's affiliate program. They have one. Never heard anything back. And I mean, who's been making more Rust-Oleum videos than me?
I honestly, anytime I type in Rust-Oleum paint job, you are the first 27 videos. So
the first 27 videos. Yeah, and I always tag Rust-Oleum in all my videos, and I mean, a lot of times they hit the heart and everything, so I know they gotta know I'm out there. But yeah, I don't know, man. Rust-Oleum, they could dive into the automotive paint a little bit more, I think. But all right, what else we got?
I think that's kind of about it, and I think it's 9 o'clock.
Oh wow, time has really gotten away.
We've been rolling with you guys for 2 hours now.
Yeah, all right, guys.
That's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy all these conversations and hanging out. And, if you missed this video, we tried to, Josh had something going on, so I tried to come on a little bit later with this episode.
I think that actually worked out better because I think we had more consistent people this time.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that said that they missed it last time around. So, but I want to say a big thank you to you guys for coming out tonight and joining with us. Y'all coming in and asking questions helps us out tremendously because we'll pick a topic and we'll go off on a rant and we could go on forever. We could pick pieces of paper as the topic, and me and him could go back and forth for an hour talking stupid mess,
And we've actually talked about that, where sometimes the subject will be something from my realm, something,
Yeah, we'll go back and forth, but having you guys come in and ask questions and actually giving us a little more of a train of thought is fun, and that's why I call it the Off the Wall podcast, just simply because we don't know what direction we're going. I'll tell you guys it's going to be one topic, and we could end up halfway around the world by the end of it, but it's 9 o'clock, guys. We've been on here for 2 hours, so I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in and coming out. I hope we were able to help some of you guys out and shine a little bit of light on, what goes on from the pricing end and the business end of thing and just the thought process behind everything. And if you like that, then definitely subscribe to Whitley Auto Works if you're just finding me on live and you've never seen the channel before, and go check out Josh on Midnight Auto Repair. He'd love to have you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I just dropped a video. What was that? Thursday, where I actually pulled a 200 cubic inch inline 6 out of a junkyard that had sat outside at the junkyard for 10, 15 years. Water pump seized up, carburetor seized up, and that's what's going to be going in my Falcon. So we kind of run through the high points of if you're finding an old motor like that, what to look for, what to avoid, And there's a lot of cool things that I start off in an abandoned junkyard, so
Yeah.
that's always the upsell.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of crossing over and collaborating in the near future. I'm going to help him with his Falcon, and we're going to do some more stuff because we had been doing quite a few videos, paint videos, where you come in and
Yeah.
we cross over. So we're going to be doing some more of that stuff too. And of course, we're going to continue doing this podcast and having some fun with you guys, coming on answering questions, because I think that's more helpful than anything else. And I think we both have a lot of fun doing it. But that's going to be it, guys, for this one. As always, I'm John from Whitley Auto Works.
I'm Josh from Midnight Auto Repair.
And we appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Catch you next time.